Yo, what up? This is D Knight, and you're listening to the Pardon the Insurrection podcast. My oh my, we've had so much going on. For starters, in case you missed it, we've got a new addition to the Pardon Pie family, Tara Dublin. Make sure you go follow her on Twitter at Tara Dublin Rocks. Also, pick up a copy of her book while you're at it. Make her day, The Sound of Settling. A very fun and interesting read compared to the things we talk about on this podcast. But yeah, we're heading toward the do or die time for the 2024 election. Go ahead and hit up JoeBiden.com. Get that man like $1 a month or something. Help his campaign staff up and get prepared to try and save our democracy. And make sure to grab like one other person you know and tell them about the podcast. Make sure they subscribe and tune in every single week. We got a lot of things coming up for you this year. We need all the support that we can get. So if you do your part and help us grow our audience, we'll do our part and help elect Joe Biden in 2024 and save American democracy. And this is the Pardon the Insurrection podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to waste all my good shit.
Your good material. Okay. Ty, how fucked up are you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
No, I'm probably about I just ate a Kit Kat, some ice cream.
Okay, that wasn't like a judgment. You can be as fucked up as you want to or not, because we'll just.
I'm jealous because I thought that was a carrot and some hummus.
Well, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, like, I know when you did that other appearance, you're like, oh, very professional and like really, really good. And like, you don't have to do that here unless you want to. No, I'm just what I'm just saying. Like, if you just want to be wildly, unprofessional, great. We'll just make fun of it and it'll be, entertaining for people to listen to. Because I want to be unprofessional and funny, but clearly I've landed the role as like the straight man. And I don't mean that in like a heterosexual fashion. I mean, like, as
that
far
too.
as the content. Yeah, well, that too.
Well, I mean, for a straight man, I've heard you offer to suck a guy's dick like many, many times.
Many times. Yeah,
many times.
That's the joke. Yeah, so.
You offer to do it more than I do.
I'm pretty comfortable with my sexualities. I have no problem making, jokes about it. Anyway, that's not important, but yeah.
Hey man, sex work is work.
Yeah. Oh wait, you know what? Can I grab a beer? I think I deserve a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually want. I'm gonna
go get that beer. I'm gonna grab my vape. It's probably charged.
Thank you. Hey, this is D Knight.
This is Carol.
This is Ty.
You're listening to the Pardon the Insurrection podcast, where yet again the insurrection will be taking a back seat because we had a wonderful event yesterday that we will have the opportunity to celebrate on the podcast called the State of the Union Address. If you're not familiar with that, I don't know where the fuck you've been for like the entire history of America, but presidents do that shit every year. Well, I mean, I guess apart from their inaugural address when they're elected, it was a doozy for sure.
I thought we should mention, just by the by, this is our 46th episode, which happens to be the number associated with Joseph Robinette Biden's presidency.
That's right.
He's the 46th president. So we are going to dedicate this State of the Union episode to our favorite current U.S. president, Joe Biden.
Let's go 46. Yeah, 46 episodes in. We just figured it'd be the appropriate time to get away from some of the dark, depressing news and celebrate our fucking victories. Because man, oh man, has this guy been racking them up. But first, let's get to the State of the Union address. Carol, were you very impressed with Biden's performance at the State of the Union? Did you think this was one of his best speeches so far?
Oh my goodness, yes. I was very impressed. He was so sharp and calculating, and he had a plan, or it was perfect. Even if he didn't have a plan, wow, he was able to work so quickly and well off the cuff. And I think people who support him were impressed, and I think people who don't support him were begrudgingly impressed.
You don't say.
No, that's perfect.
One of my favorite moments from the speech, of course, and I mean, I guess this will probably go without saying, it's probably everyone's favorite moment from the speech, is when he tricked Republicans into being like, oh, we support Medicare. and Social Security, and we're not going to cut those things. Like,
I gotta pee.
okay,
The
Ty.
audience deserves to know how quickly Ty goes to the bathroom.
No, we're not telling people she peed. We did that.
I'm sorry.
We've already done that bit.
Ty doesn't pee.
We've done that bit already.
Okay.
All right. So I got to tell you, my favorite part about the entire speech, and I'm sure everyone shares this sentiment, is when, first of all, Biden set up Republicans. He's nailing Trump to the wall about how he ran up the deficit in his 4 years in office. And then as the hecklers arise and they're booing President Biden, he ropes them in and lures them in like he's at the rodeo with the bull and the red flag, and he's like, here you go, guys. And then starts talking about Republicans' plans for the future as far as the debt ceiling goes, and they plan to use that to negotiate cuts for Medicare and Social Security. He's like, oh no, who would want that? And by the end of it, he's like, oh, if you support our seniors and you support Medicare and Social Security, like, stand up, come on, guys. And they get up and they're clapping for it. And he's like, well, so I guess that means we won't be cutting that shit. And everybody's like, oh, fuck, what did we just do? Yeah, that was great. Great moment.
And it was great because he could say, this is unanimous. Oh, great. So it's unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous consent.
He gets to throw his expert negotiation skills and bipartisanship in their face.
Well, I mean, look.
I'm so much more fucking bipartisan than you shits are.
It was pretty good. And look, a lot of people are like, oh, Biden's too old. Well, clearly one thing you get in some cases, with age is experience. And this motherfucker probably is the most experienced politician of our times, maybe apart from Nancy Pelosi. I mean, just given his length of service in Congress and as a vice president for 8 years, I mean, the motherfucker clearly knows what he's doing. I don't want to say we should set an age limit for presidents, but I understand the argument. But like, if there was ever a counter example of like the benefits that come with age, I mean, Biden is it. Biden is it for sure. By the way, what the fuck was Kirsten Sinema wearing?
It appeared to be some sort of dress.
I thought she was like a lemon meringue pie or something. I didn't know what was good. I mean, and I hate to disparage women because of their looks. That's not what I'm doing here. But like, if you like fucking Google the thing, just in case you didn't see it, like, I don't know. She looked like some sort of, I don't know.
It was a very closely fitted satin, bright yellow satin sheath dress with these like big puffy dramatic sleeves. That was really like a party dress, but whatever. I'm explaining it.
Yeah, it's really difficult to describe.
A picture's worth 10 or 15 words.
It's difficult to describe. She looked like she could have been engaging in some sort of like entertaining performance for children at like a theme park or something. I mean, the shit was absolutely absurd. I don't know what was going on with that. Also, we got to tell Ty, hey, you got to wait until we're like halfway finished before you pop your edibles, girl, because you just be off the rails here.
Yeah, she can't hold her shit. I never thought I'd be in a group of 3 where I was the second biggest pothead.
Hey, wait, who is the first? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, but it's also not true. I mean, I just have a much higher tolerance than she does.
Yeah, you do. And like, I assume you consume daily. I would imagine. Yeah.
I also took some edibles.
Did you? Yeah, well, the thing is, when you partake, you seem to be more functional. No, I'm kidding. Don't hit me. It's a joke. Please don't beat me up.
Do I look upset?
No. You're smiling at the idea. Hey, you know who probably does need a fucking edible?
You?
I'm going to go with Marjorie Trailer Trash Green.
She needs to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, she does.
She says she hates being in Congress. It's like been miserable for her. Like, girl, same. been miserable for us.
We too would like it if you resign. Like, please quit. Feel free.
I will grit my teeth through a girls' day with her to get her to quit. You just need a girls' trip. I will help you go away to it.
Yeah, I'll certainly be happy if she decides that Congress is not for her. Get us one step closer to getting the majority back in the House. Be fantastic. But yeah, one of Biden's biggest hecklers last night. In case you missed it, she couldn't help herself. Completely out of control. And one thing you've noticed, if you were watching, is Kevin McCarthy squeamishly sitting behind President Biden as Biden is railing the GOP from behind, like Ron DeSantis with those teenage girls he was taking pictures with as he was drinking. Sorry, my bad. It's a little harsh. Yeah, McCarthy up there trying to get people to shush and making faces, but they just couldn't help themselves. Like, and it's impossible. His position is impossible because he's basically giving away all his power in exchange for the title of House Speaker. He's basically speaker in name only. Speaker in name only. God, English is so hard when it's your first language. Holy shit.
It was fine the first time. No one would have noticed.
No one would have noticed. Okay.
Noticed. Yeah, it was. I also like his. It's obvious he stood in front of the mirror and practiced his like, "This is such a stupid speech" face. Yeah. McCarthy, that is. He's like they all do that. They have like this very dramatized, whatever. Bored face, an incredulous face, and I don't know if you noticed that on him.
No, I like to refer to it as the Tucker Carlson, except Tucker Carlson is like levels beyond anyone else in the history of making these dumb, perplexed faces. Yeah, but I noticed it, but like you could also like watch him like turn his head to the side and like as if these fucking morons were going to follow his lead. Yeah, of course not. And the best part of it is like, as President Biden is like drawing attention to the biggest flaws in their party, like what you would want most is for everyone to just shut the fuck up and just let it move on past it. But no, they want to like draw as much attention to it as possible. Great job, guys. Y'all are fucking idiots.
Yeah, they really helped him write his material.
They really did.
It's like the speech notes are like, wait for really stupid fucking comments and heckling. Okay. No.
Well, you say that, but like in the speech notes, like the part where he was telling them like to stand up, that was in there. But like the part where he like corralled them into like negotiating the budget in the middle of his fucking speech, some shit I've never seen before. Like that's some totally, I mean, I've never seen any shit like that in my life. Like that was all improv. It was basically like a fucking comedy session mixed with like some master negotiation type shit. That was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, very much so. It's funny too. Okay. So as I was watching the State of the Union, I was out at a restaurant, sitting at the bar, having myself a drink. Ironically is, waiting on the Laker game, and some gentleman, and by gentleman, I use that term loosely, started making comments as he saw Biden on the television screen. Oh, that's the president, quote unquote, huh? And then he basically turned into like, he might as well have been in the House of Representatives as a Republican, because he turned into a heckler in the fucking restaurant, talking about like, Biden's incompetent, has dementia, and can't even remember his fucking name, and called, he slipped and called Kamala the president once. And, me being who I am, typically would have just destroyed this person as he was speaking. Like, oh yeah, Biden's so incompetent, huh? Well, it's funny you say that. If you think Biden's a mental patient, well, don't you think it's rather ironic that Trump couldn't even beat a fucking mental patient? Get the fuck out. But because of the restaurant I was at which I am friends with some of the staff, I refrained from causing a ruckus. Just out of care for them. But yeah, I'm sure had he had that, I don't know, mental acuity to pay attention to the State of the Union address, had he seen the way Biden corralled these Republicans into doing exactly what he wanted, I mean, I feel like he would have shut the fuck up. Anyway, that's an aside. Another one of my favorite moments from the speech, and this one's a little bit more heart wrenching, is the moment that he brought up Tyree Nichols and addressed their family and police brutality. And even, this might be the only time I've ever seen a president mention the talk. Carol, you have kids. I don't know if you'll ever have to have the talk with them. Cause that's cause Carol can pass as white. I'm black, by the way, in case you didn't know. This is a podcast, not a visual medium. But yeah, for all of you out there. No, but that was, as tough of a conversation as it is, like it was also, I mean, and the situation is terrible, and I can't stress that enough. It was heartwarming to see that we have a president who actually cares about these things, who actually cares about, his constituents, who cares about the citizens, who cares about people's lives, who cares about people dealing with the trauma and pain that comes with losing someone you care about, whether that be your children or not. I mean, I'm sure this hits exceptionally close to home for the president, already having lost, his child and most members of his family.
Yeah. I mean, empathy is one of his great strong suits for sure. And he's does a really good job of evoking that in others, I think. Well, some others. Right. Others. Well, they didn't sit down through those parts of the speech. But yes. I
mean, one of his biggest strengths, it's just he's a real fucking down to earth human guy. I mean, he really is Joe from Scranton, Uncle Joe, and it really comes across every time he gets on stage and addresses the nation. He doesn't have the same quite artistic way with words as an Obama or as a Clinton. But in his own way, I mean, he might be one of our more effective presidents when it comes to public speaking. I personally don't believe this was his best speech. And you could fight me on that if you want to. I'll just, give you my personal opinion. And it might just be because of the moment, and where I was personally. But I think this is probably his second best speech ever. The first
what was
being
his first for you?
His inaugural address. And maybe that's just because, I, like many of you, were probably just emotionally spent, in 2021. I mean, we had been through 5 years of crazy shit with Trump, the pandemic, 1/6, not knowing if our democracy was going to survive. I mean, fuck, I was probably traumatized. And that's not even to mention like all the personal shit I was dealing with and that many of you might have been dealing with at the time, like all piled into one thing. And it was like, oh, this is incredible having this guy get up here and speak to the nation, and he gets it. He, realizes this is his moment. Like his job is to help us heal, help us to get through all this trauma, to bring some stability back to our country, to our lives.
Yeah, that was really reassuring. And at that time, I really needed that. I felt like, that day was like a big weight lifted off my shoulders.
Same. It was a weight lifted off my shoulders that I didn't realize had been weighing me down for years at that time. And I'm not usually one to get all teary eyed at these fucking presidential speeches and these addresses. But I fucking teared up a little bit. So that'll be number one for me. If you disagree, We can agree to disagree if you like, but
I don't think I gave a forceful opinion that this was his best speech. I thought it was very good. Honestly, the inaugural is a little blurry in my mind at this point. So
yeah,
you made a compelling point. But let's fight anyway. It was like another gotcha moment last night, but I really liked how he handled after he talked about the fentanyl epidemic and the fentanyl deaths. He, very touchingly introduced the family who lost their child to fentanyl addiction. And then they were like, oh, well, then you should close the borders. And he's like, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because,
how would you guys like to address the funding issue of like the border security? And every one of the Republicans were like, nah, bro. And that shows you where their priorities are, right? They like to endlessly complain about security at the border, but then when they have the opportunity to address the situation, you see, it's just fake platitudes and endless bitching. They don't actually want to solve the problem. Yeah, that was, I mean, I don't think I've ever been like, moved emotionally, but also disgusted at the same time. I'm like, oh, here's this perfect moment. Biden set up to talk about this, but also like, oh, the hypocrisy of these Republicans is also disgusting all at the same time. It's very weird combination of feelings I was experiencing all at one moment there.
Well, his plan sounded pretty good if they would, help him enact it. He just came straight out with his plan for increasing the detection technology at the border. And like, I think he was talking about private carriers, and enlisting private carriers to check more thoroughly for drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys check? You're going to be in charge of that.
I think, well, the best part is, it's not like they have a fucking plan. Like, they don't have anything to offer up as a potential solution. But look, Carol, if we saw the problem at the border, then what the fuck would they have to complain about? And
they did have a solution. It was deterrence by like horrible cruelty.
How'd that work, guys? How'd that go? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they get the idea that actually deterred immigration, or they just wanted to kidnap a bunch of children from their parents,
right,
and traffic them around the country.
All right. Well, that got depressing again.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't want to poo-poo on the positive, sunny topic of fentanyl deaths.
Well, when you put it that way, some other fun moments from the State of the Union. I think, is a, I don't want to call it fun, but a fairly entertaining exchange between one Mitt Romney and one George Santos DeVolder Ravache, however the fuck many names he's used. There was a Jewish one in there, but it's already slipped my mind because
Zabrowski. I don't remember.
Yeah,
what
that's
his
it.
Jewish name was.
Oh my god. Where Romney is basically telling dude, you're a piece of shit. I don't think he used those words exactly, but you can kind of quote me on, you need to get the fuck up out of here, but not in those words. It's like, you should be ashamed. it was pretty great. This is the best one. All right, so Biden's making his way in, and Santos has positioned himself in like directly in Biden's path in an attempt to make sure he shakes Biden's hands, and Biden makes his way through. He sees DeVolder Santos right there, looks him in the eye, does not shake his hand, stares him the fuck down, and then moves on. It was great. It's a perfect moment. I think it sums up everything that you could possibly.
The audacity of that piece of shit, I mean, Romney put it lightly to say you don't belong here. The audacity of that man to think that, he still is gonna meet the president. The president doesn't know any of this shit. He's like, oh goody, I finally made it.
Oh man.
But it's just obvious from his pattern of behavior that he like can't foresee consequences or just refuses to account for them and doesn't care. Just like he's just a fucking sociopath.
Are you talking about Santos here?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
he's like, this will work.
I have the feeling that we're going to like discover a number of bodies in his backyard or something, and he will eventually become the subject of multiple true crime podcasts in the future.
Oh, for sure. Do you remember You Don't Fuck with Cats? The Netflix documentary at the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, I didn't watch it.
The
Yeah.
people who found. Okay, well, spoiler alert. Like, it starts with them finding someone who murders cats, and to them finding someone who's made a real snuff film.
Oh, I didn't know there was the actual. Okay, that's awful. That's some.
Yeah.
Hey, so what happened to making this like bright and fun and woo and yeah?
Anyway, he reminds me of this serial killer in that movie, which is why I think they should check his bathtub and his freezer.
I mean, what really got me is like even his glasses are fake. Like he doesn't actually wear glasses. That was the one where I was like, oh, literally everything about you isn't real. Anyway, so yeah. Also, side note, I had intended on us playing the game of name that scandal, where we take turns listing off George Santos scandals / lies. And whoever ends up with the most wins, we'll save that from next time when Ty's less high. But man,
you can't spell Ty without high. I mean, you can, but they rhyme. You know.
I hadn't intended on
High. Ty. Okay.
Again, English is difficult when it's your first language.
Yeah, indeed.
No, I'm sorry. Look, I didn't intend to spend this much time talking about Santos. Jesus Christ, I don't know how he comes up. All this, like, it's insane. We'll tackle that yet another day. But I think that concludes our State of the Union coverage. As fun as that was,
that's all you get.
That was plenty.
That's all. Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing was a fucking hour long. If you're going to listen to us talk about it for 30 minutes, just go fucking watch the thing, okay? Just pull up a clip, get the highlights. I mean, it was better than us. I guarantee you.
A lot better, yeah.